Hi, I'm Kathy Ricky with Alice's Table. I'm a new exec for Alice's Table, a flower arranging company that takes flower arranging on the road to various businesses around town or private homes or at fundraising venues, anywhere that we can gather some women and girls together to make beautiful arrangements. I would like to welcome you all here. We have some fall-inspired treats and drinks for you, so help yourself to the apple cider and to the pumpkin bars and get ready to create a fall creation with me that I lovingly have entitled The Family Farm. I started with Alice's Table a few weeks ago after my kids and I saw the episode on Shark Tank. I'm not sure if any of you are Shark Tank fans out there, but we watched Mark Cuban and Sarah Blakely love the concept so much that they invested $250,000 in the company. So I told my husband that if Mark Cuban could invest in the company, that he and I could as well. My kids thought I would be the perfect Alice's Table host, and I agree that I was really intrigued by the concept. So I took my daughters and myself to an event outside of Chicago back in August, and I just really fell in love with the concept. I love being able to take both of my daughters, Madison, aged 16 and a half, and Sierra, aged 10. She's behind the video camera right now. And we all three had a really great time. We all three made totally different arrangements with the same exact flowers and really just had a great time together. We didn't spend time shopping or eating out. We really spent time learning a new skill and having fun in the process. So I really wanted to take that same concept from the Chicagoland area back to Northwest Indiana and to share my love of teaching and floral arranging and getting together with friends with the rest of the people out in the Northwest Indiana area. So welcome, we're glad you're here, and we'll get started in a minute. And like I said earlier, we're making an arrangement called the Family Farm. I based it on the arrangement called the Bartlett Farm because I love the sunflowers in it and I love the different pops of color throughout. I named it the Family Farm because it reminds me of my family farm back home in Kansas with the fields of sunflowers that always go in the direction of the sun. I love the plume colossia that looks like wheat fields or milo fields. So I like to have this just as a small reminder of home. And so today we are going to make the same thing together. And again, your arrangement won't look exactly like mine, and that is perfectly okay. If at any time you want to take flowers out and put them someplace else in your arrangement, that's fine. At the end of the event, I'll have extra flowers for you to pick and choose from that you can add more to your arrangement or take more out. It really is up to you. This is your blank canvas. It actually starts here like a blank canvas, and it's up to you to put your own spin and personality on it. So we're going to go ahead and get started. The first thing we do is that we like to create a base or a skeleton on our vase so we can get the flowers to stand up and to stay in their place. Thank you, Sierra. You can zoom in on that flower arrangement. And in order to create a stable base for our arrangement, we are going to create a tic-tac-toe grid on our vase. And I must say the hardest part of creating the grid is finding the end of the tape. Sierra, do you agree?
Yes, it is.
That was the hardest thing our difficult time we had when we went to our first event. Excuse me? And we're back at it again. So we have our first piece of tape. We're going to create a tic-tac-toe board on the top of our vase. I've learned that it's good to start the tape down the side of your vase. Here, I don't know if you can zoom in on that or not, but I really want to create as stable of a base for or a structure for our vase as possible. So we're going to put one strip of tape across the center, or across the vase, and make sure you firmly make sure that the sides of the tape stick to the base. It is water resistant tape, but it's not waterproof tape. There is a difference, so we do still need to baby this tape. We don't want to get water on it, which is why we are going to fill the vase with water after we make our tic-tac-toe board. So again, we have two pieces of tape going horizontally. So I'm going to turn my vase a half a direction or a quarter of a direction, and we're going to make the remainder of our tic-tac-toe board. And again, push down on the sides. This truly is the most important step in your flower arranging process, so no need to go quickly. We do have tape you all will be sharing tape when we get to that point. So I want you guys to work together, especially to help yourselves find the end of the tape. And I also learned through trial and error, if you really want to ensure that your tape grid stays intact, why don't you go ahead and tape around the edge of your vase to secure each end of the tape. This is called extra insurance. Sierra, didn't we learn the hard way that it's a problem if your tape does not stick correctly? So ladies, that is how you create your tic-tac-toe board on the top of your vase. I'm going to have you all get started with your vases. I want you to create the bases, create the structure like I did, and I'll be around to assist, especially in getting the tape to cooperate with you. Thanks. Someone had a really good question. She asked if it's okay to use Scotch tape. It is okay to use Scotch tape, but I prefer to use it's called Oasis tape, and it's the standard tape to use for floral arranging. It's a 1/4 inch tape. I've learned that the wider the tape is, the less space you have to work with. So stick with your 1/4 inch tape. Try to find the water resistant tape. Amazon is your friend. You can find Oasis tape at Amazon.com, and it's worth the extra few dollar investment because this is the start to a beautiful floral arrangement. After you do have your taped grid, since this is a water-based arrangement, and ladies, a water-based arrangement is pretty much a standard arrangement that you would find in most floral shops if you order an arrangement. We have water-based arrangements such as these. They do tend to last quite a while as long as you change the water every few days and give it some TLC, keep it out of the direct light, or out of direct heat. It should last quite a while. There's also an arrangement called an Oasis foam arrangement, and an Oasis foam arrangement is based on foam. You might find these for gala centerpieces or centerpieces at a wedding. They don't last as long, but they do they do make the arrangement look beautiful for a very short amount of time, especially if you don't have access to water. And then there's also another kind of arrangement called a European hand-tied arrangement, and just think of vintage whimsical bridesmaid bouquets, and that is a hand-tied arrangement. But today we are going to stick with the water arrangement, and since we already have our tic-tac-toe board, we are going to very carefully add room temperature water that has already been treated with plant food. This is similar to the plant food you would get in the little powder packets from the florist, but this is highly concentrated plant food. Plant food is made out of a combination of sugar and preservatives. The sugar feeds your flowers and the preservatives keep them looking beautiful. So highly recommend that you do use some kind of plant-based or plant food for your arrangements, and I'll be sending you home with packets when you leave today, so make sure you don't forget those. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and fill. We are not going to fill our vase all the way full. We're only going to fill it halfway full, being careful that you don't get water on the sides of your vase. Again, we're trying to protect your tic-tac-toe grid. But right now, you're just going to fill it halfway full because I do know that a lot of you will be heading home after this and getting in your cars, except for those of you who are walking home across the street. And so when you get home, please, the first thing you do after you show your husband your impressive floral arrangement is to fill the water all the way up to the top of your vase. We're going to be using very fresh flowers. Very fresh flowers are very thirsty flowers, so they will go through the food at a really rapid rate. So at least for the first few days, every day, you're probably going to be having to add a little bit of water. After 2 or 3 days, you'll be changing the water in its entirety, making sure that you treat the room temperature water with plant food. All right, now that we have our vase and our water ready to go, we're ready to get started on our flower arrangement. So why don't you all go ahead and pour water into your vases, and then we'll go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to add to our arrangement before we even get started with flowers is we're going to add some greenery around the edge up to frame our arrangement. And this kind of greenery that I've chosen for today is called Italian ruscus. And ruscus is fun to work with because it does come in long stalks. And what you can do is you can just trim different stalks or different stems off the ruscus so it can fit your needs. What I like to do is to frame the arrangement by putting a piece of ruscus in each of the 4 corners. Now, ladies, I found that it's okay. A lot of people have a hard time cutting the flowers or the greenery too short. It really is okay. They do come in long stems, but it's okay not to keep it in that length. And so if you're going to try to, if you want to have the ruscus coming a few inches on top of the vase. And a trick that I have learned is to take your vase over to the edge of the table and just kind of line up your ruscus along the edge of the table so you can see where it's going to fit in your vase. So I think I'm going to clip it right about here. It's best to clip it into the trash bucket to save time a little later on. Now, once you have clipped your ruscus into a manageable piece, it's always good to take the leaves off at the bottom that will be in the water line. You don't, as a good rule of thumb, want to have leaves below the water line in your arrangement because it can add bacteria, which turns into mold in your arrangement, and we don't want that. So you definitely want to take the bottom leaves off, and then you're going to very carefully put it in the corner. Now, your ruscus will flip and flop, and at first it's very frustrating, and it's because there's nothing else in there in your arrangement to hold it into place, but it will get easier as we start adding different flowers to your arrangement. So ladies, this is how you add a piece of ruscus to your arrangement. I'm going to add to the other 3 corners as well after I get you all started. So if you could come up, you are going to pick, why don't you go ahead and pick a bunch of ruscus and take like 1 bunch of ruscus, take it back to your table, and then we will get working on at least your 4 corners. You can go all the way around the edge if you want to, but start with the 4 corners first. Thank you. Okay, ladies, the first flower we're going to put in our vase, we're going to start with a rather large flower, so it does create a good focal point in our arrangement, and that's my favorite, the sunflower, because it is the state capital of Kansas. What I love about fields of sunflowers is that in the morning, when the sun rises in the east, all of the heads of the sunflowers face one direction, and then slowly but surely throughout the entire day, this whole field of flowers follows the sun. So at noon, at midday, all the flowers will be pointing up to the sky, and then when the sun sets in the west, they all face the west. So I really feel like the sunflower is a very creative, unique flower in that it does that, and that's why it's extra special and dear to my heart. What I also love about sunflowers is that this time of year, they're very easy to find. You can find them at any grocery store. Strachan Van Til was selling a whole bunch of them for $4, quite a steal. County Line Orchard is now open for business for the fall season. You and your children can go and pick sunflowers at the sunflower patch and use them in your very own arrangements. So it's definitely a fun idea to get your kids involved and head to the County Line Orchard together to pick your sunflowers. I love sunflowers because they're hardy. They will hold up for quite a while in your arrangement. The stalks are very hardy and thick, so they should be very durable in your arrangement. The problem with sunflowers though is that the heads tend to get a little heavy. So what you want to do is when you're choosing a flower to put in your arrangement, you want to make sure you choose a sunflower that's pointing up for the most part if you're going to put that in the center of your arrangement. When I ask you to, you'll be choosing 3 sunflowers to put in your arrangement. So when you grab your 3, sorry about that. As I was saying, you're all going to choose 3 sunflowers. I like to put my focal point, or the first large flower that I add to my arrangement, in the center of your tic-tac-toe grid. And sunflowers, they do have a long stalk, but you don't want to have them too long because again, they get top heavy and they will flop over. So again, I am scooting my vase over to the edge of the table and I'm cutting my flower at a 45-degree angle. And then putting it in my flower arrangement. We do put them at a 40, it might be a little bit taller than what I would like. We cut them at a 45-degree angle because we do want to give as much surface area as possible for the flower to soak up that water. So we're going to put one of our sunflowers in the center. I'm just going to grab another one while I'm at it. Same thing, we're going to snip it at a 45-degree angle, making sure it's not too tall for our arrangement. Again, keep in mind of those heavy heads on the sunflowers. And we're going to, again, just tuck it into the center of the grid. See, it's already flopping a little bit. And that is okay for right now. We're going to keep our sunflowers all three together. But again, as we work on the arrangement, you'll feel free to move flowers around to fit your vision. All right, I'm going to go ahead and add an extra sunflower while the rest of you come and grab 3 sunflowers and get started. The next flower we're going to add to our arrangement is the lovely rose. I chose white rose